What's cracking, guys? Omar Software back with another video here with a very special guest, Rascal Athlete Eric Helms. Eric, how's it going?
I'm under the impression this video is announcing that I am now a Rascal Athlete.
100%. But who's Dr. Eric Helms?
I started 3D Muscle Journey with Alberto Nunez, Jeff Alberts, Brad Loomis, and that dovetailed off into me writing books, creating a mass research review, and I'm currently a research fellow at the Auckland University of Technology to New Zealand.
You're a competitor, you're a coach, and you also participate in research and academia. So it's kind of the marriage of everything. And this is the question, Eric, for the video today. Why does it seem like some people struggle so hard in order to get actually lean and look better? So we're not just talking leanness, we're talking about maintaining muscle, and when those two kind of occur, you look better overall. And why do some people suffer in limbo forever?
Absolutely, and just to big up kind of what you're saying, the common occurrence, let's just take your typical male dieting down. You say you're 15% body fat, so we all know that means you're 20% body fat. And you start dieting, and because you have a fair amount of body fat on you, and you are reducing calories, and you're losing a little bit of the fullness, probably glycogen, there's not much difference in your definition, so you just look smaller for the first few pounds as you go from say 20 to 19 to 18% body fat. And it's not until you've lost a significant amount of weight where then you start to look better as you get leaner, but then it starts to get challenging, right? So that is exactly what people typically see. It's a combination of overestimating actually not how lean they are to start, and also maybe underestimating how much weight they need to lose. And you often see people attaching a time scale to, oh, I want to be shredded or leaner or hit 10% body fat or whatever by X date. The reason why some people look worse after they get leaner and push harder is because they're pushing harder when they're leaner. The cause is the effect. So ultimately, what's going on here is that as you get leaner and leaner and leaner, you're less resilient to changes in energy balance and actually energy availability, which is really just how much energy you have to access after you're taking into account how much energy that is relative to your body mass, your lean body mass, and also relative to your activity level. Now, as you get leaner and leaner and leaner, you have less body fat on your body, which means that you can't quite use as much of that exogenous or endogenous calories. So basically, the body fat on you is able to replace the deficit in such a way that you don't really feel it quite as much. If you take a person who is overweight and you drop their calories pretty substantially, take a person who is lean, you'll see a different change in their testosterone levels. So the lean person will typically see a decrease. And if the person has obesity, that male might either see no change or an actual increase in their testosterone. So if your difficulty of your diet and the size of your deficit, the amount of effort you're putting forth is going up as your willpower and your physiological resilience is waning, the combined effect of that is worse. So for the novice athlete, whether they're not going hard enough or they're going too hard, they don't really have the association with how should it feel to be here. So for me, I'm actually not hitting target calories on a day-to-day basis in a narrow range. I'm going by feel, which sounds soft or risky, because if what's measured is managed. Well, actually what I'm managing is knowing how I should feel 6 months in versus 9 months in. I can customize this, I can make it individual, but I have to have the experience to be able to associate a certain deficit, leanness, and subjective experience where they should be the same.
In 2019, with your assistance, where I got the leanest I'd been in a mighty long time, and I maintained a good majority of my muscle mass. So that intersection, we had that photo, it got like 20,000 likes where I did the thing. I implemented for myself personally, again, this is subjective, it depends upon the person, what works for you, but some diet breaks, right? So that was something that was new, it was a revelation for me, and that allowed me to ease off, because for me, being more performance oriented, my motivation for dieting would go down as my numbers started tanking. With the implementation of diet breaks, it allowed me to take a pause, keep training. I felt good, the numbers looked good, kept adhering, and anyways, made it over that gap really for the first time. You said something interesting. Those that have done it, as they continue to do it, it gets easier, where I think for some people, they think, oh, like I'm just not built for this. I think one of the misconceptions, and maybe you could speak on this as a coach, is that for some people, well, I just kind of can't get lean like that. So what does that look like, Eric, for someone who has or is trying to accrue that experience to start developing some of those tools to give them that ability to actually reach that goal?
It's a scary process because it doesn't match the anecdotes that you hear from everyone who talks about this, because we love to glorify the hard work. We love the rocky story. a novice bodybuilder, an intermediate bodybuilder, they typically are getting into great shape by just simply going pedal to the metal. Every personal trainer can tell you that they're trying to pull back on a lot of their clients, and then they start to fail and don't have the adherence. It's funny you brought up diet breaks, because as the research has come out, back when we were running those diet breaks, we were right at the precipice. I was actually involved in some of the studies that were doing it, but now we actually have multiple independent labs. We got Dr. Bill Campbell, University of South Florida, got Jackson Pios, who did it at West Australia. Both found that a lot of the physiological effects of diet breaks didn't actually beat out, straight through dieting. But what consistently was found in both groups was that they found lower subjective hunger or greater appetite suppression and lower subjective stress. So really, the reason why novices don't have that experience and the difference between them and an experienced competitor is that their insecurities don't get in the way. They know how to hold serve and continue on the path, and they're not worried that maybe they had a 2-week stint where they weren't seeing the scale move. And they're like, well, I also haven't had any bowel movements, my sleep's been off, maybe I'm dieting too hard, maybe my water's been different. They know they're not gonna lose muscle because they've been through this process unless they do something crazy. Because what determines leanness is adherence. And what determines adherence is your subjective experience. So subjectively, what this should qualitatively feel like is that you're doing the least amount you need to do to get progressively leaner over time, and that the diet is minimally invasive, as we often say.
Oh, God, it's so good. So good and tasty.
The feeling of doing the least amount of work in order to get the most amount of results and preserve that willpower so that you can apply it for that final little bit that will be tough no matter what. Makes complete sense. Can you talk about getting those reps in terms of getting leaner, how really there is this exposure that must occur?
It's critically important for bodybuilding, just to show how important this is even at the highest level. So for people to get to stage condition, 6% body fat for men, probably just under 10% for women, maybe 4 to 6% for men, it doesn't matter. To get that lean, willpower is the defining factor. It's who preserved enough willpower to go from that 7 or 8% to 4%. So if you are starting to tap out when you're in decent stage shape, you're not gonna reach elite levels of conditioning. And that's why you see typically in people who stay competing in the sport for a long time, in bodybuilding, people who maybe started competing in their 20s and they're actually leaner when they're 40. And actually that's what you see in natural bodybuilding because we have much longer longevity. In WNBF worlds, you see people in their 30s, 40s, and sometimes even their 50s taking home medals. So it goes to show you that time under tension is more about the years you put in. The closest thing a novice or an intermediate can get to that is working with someone or just having someone to be a mentor to them. It is not necessarily a hired coach who can say, look, I know this won't be the same as you walking in my shoes, but I can tell you from experience, you should feel like semi-crappy, but maybe only a 2 out of 10. And we don't want to get to an 8 out of 10 at all, ideally, but if we have to, we want to be when the light's already at the end of the tunnel to motivate you. And they can fast track you. What took me to now my 5th season, and I'm going to be doing my 19th show this year, when I finish the season, I could have probably figured that out in my 2nd or 3rd season about twice as fast if I had maybe been a little more humble and a little less objective and not just focused on I hit my macros no matter what, I do my cardio no matter what, but actually thought about, okay, what objective data should match my subjective experience and how can I move that forward in my career? And that's what a coach can help you do.
A lot of fantastic information. Eric, is there anything you want to circle back to or some golden nuggets that you want to drop for those that really are trying to comprehend this concept that you can do this?
Absolutely. So 3 things for kind of recapping. 1, people typically do this the exact opposite way. They start off just kind of dieting because the goal's far away. They don't have a strong motivating factor. They're not afraid yet, and they diet moderate or easy. Then, as they start to get freaked out and they're not reaching their goal yet or they don't look good, they go harder. The second thing is they don't pay attention to the subjective experience. So even if you are a novice and this is your first or second time doing it, don't just focus on the numbers. Think about how hungry am I? How sustainable is that? How hungry should I be if I expect to sustain this or actually get to my goal? And then 3, if you don't have the ability to kind of calibrate the objective with the subjective, have a coach or a mentor or someone who's done this before who can help you connect those dots and help you to individualize and customize your own strategy. So you know, okay, what time course do I need? What body weight am I trying to get to if I want to be X lean? and then what kind of calorie intake should I have, and then how do I auto-regulate it, and then what are those objective numbers associated with?
Eric, there's going to be so many people looking just downright yucky in the future once they implement this. I want to thank you once again for being on the channel. Where can people find you?
You can find me at massresearchreview.com. Mass, I've got the shirt on today. Well, we talk about the research that directly connects these dots, and we take them and put them in practice. You can find me talking about diet breaks and the new data on them. Also, size of calorie deficits, REDs, all the things I've brought up that are tangential to this discussion.
No, it's fantastic information. If you really want to further yourself and fundamentally understand, good training and nutrition information, you should be subscribed to Mass. We'll link that in the description, as well as your social media. If you like the video, make sure to like the damn video. I'll see all you guys, my rascals, in that next one. Peace.
Jesus Oliveras is the Incredible Bulk. Sporting rascal jorts, he's big, he's angry, he's hungry.
You think I can work in with you, buddy? Yeah, man, make it quick, dude, but you're not gonna like me when I'm hungry.
The new limited edition rascal jorts come in Hulk Purple, Rust Red, and Dark Chocolate. It's time to get angry with rascal jorts. Release your bulk.